All right, folks, we are live for the first time with severe thunderstorms in 2026. It's been a relatively quiet spring so far, but we do have severe storms that have worked their way into the area today. I'm very glad I kept the wording in the forecast. Some of the models had absolutely no activity when I looked this morning, but right now we do have these strong severe storms that are firing in and really heading into portions of Western Connecticut, portions of the I-84 corridor here. Severe thunderstorm warning has been issued, still in effect for southern Litchfield County here. These storms really rolled through Bantam, Morris, Bethlehem, Washington Depot pretty hard. They're headed towards Woodbury, Middlebury, Waterbury right now. There are some gusty winds with these storms. So when we look at the velocity radar here, I'm seeing frequent gusts, 30, 40, even 50 miles an hour. And then there's the secondary cell that's developed here over just south of Millbrook, New York, and that's got some nasty hail with it, as well as some lightning. So it's just one of those situations where you definitely want to be weather alert here in Fairfield County, New Haven County, southern Litchfield County over the next hour or so. This looks like probably the main event for the day at this point. I think this will use up a lot of the energy in the atmosphere, but right now, again, what we're looking at, and I'll draw it for you, this corridor here from Southbury, Middlebury, Woodbury, Roxbury, Waterbury, Watertown, you're getting gusty winds, you're going to get frequent lightning, you're going to get that torrential rainfall that's falling. A little bit farther to the west here, this cell is really strengthening. This is a classic strengthening signature here. So green's blowing towards the radar, red's blowing away from the radar. A little bit of rotational in that core. It doesn't mean there's a tornado or anything. It just means that the cell is strengthening, and this will likely blow down somewhere in here. There's the severe thunderstorm warning, just as I was drawing that. So severe thunderstorm warning now out for New Fairfield, Danbury, Brookfield, New Milford. I expect you to be right in the middle of it here too. On into Bethel, even on the southern end of this warning. Parts of Ridgebury are on the southern end of this warning. So let me go back to radar mode here, and we'll be able to see more clearly what I'm talking about. So these cells, Woodbury, Waterbury, they're very mature. They've moved down. These are causing frequent lightning. If you're headed to I-84, if you're headed out from work right now, these are nasty right along I-84, Woodbury, Middlebury, Waterbury. But the severe thunderstorm warning that was just issued here for northern Fairfield County is due to this cell up here, and that cell is going to work its way south and east over the next 30 to 45 minutes and really impact these areas, I think, in here. So that's what we're on the lookout for. Again, these storms containing some damaging wind gusts. We have a history of wind reports up here with these in New York State. We had trees on power lines, typical reports here as these really fired up and came through. And all of that activity is working down now to the south and east across Greater Danbury. So, thanks, Lewis, for the report here. Wicked in Woodbury, getting a monsoon. Wind and rain in Woodbury right now. Thank you so much, Maureen. Hopefully it doesn't last too long, but yeah, Woodbury, we'll zoom in here. Woodbury, North Woodbury, Minortown, Hotchkissville, all getting into the action here. Main Street. Then as you head into south, Post University between Middlebury and Waterbury, there also getting into the thick of it. And this is pretty nasty again with those winds, those heavy rains. Yeah, John, I agree, man. I agree. We're picking it up. Yep, looks like they severe warned it. Yeah, Jack, you're on the edge of it in Richfield. So again, we zoom out. This is the cell we're worried about potentially drifting south and southeast. So it's going to be on the edge, and I wouldn't be shocked to see some redevelopment here to the west. That's been the theme today as we get the redevelopment back off to the west. Makes it really hard to track these storms. That's why it's kind of like it fires all over the place, right? You're like, oh, one second it's pouring in Woodbury, then this will morph into Naugatuck, and then Waterbury looks like it's going to get hit, and then it gets missed, right? So there's just a lot of variables when these pulsating storms, right? They fire up, they fire down. Usually you get a wet microburst as it fires down, or some hail, some gusty wind. Like that's where you get the wind damage, and then and then it'll kind of miss the next town, and then it'll refire up somewhere else. So it's just it is really a pain to track. Yeah, Sherman and New Fairfield, and that I'd be really on the lookout here. This is where this really nasty storm is going to come in, and it's close. It's knocking on the door here. That purple core is where I'd expect to see some rather large hail potentially, or at least a decent amount of hail. And that, again, is headed right towards that Sherman New Fairfield border. I'll put it into motion for you, but you can see that core is headed to the south. Could it weaken a little bit? It could absolutely weaken a little bit. But National Weather Service is worried about this, which is why they issued the warning, why it looks like it's going to stick together. Peter, yeah, if you're asking more about Bethel, right? Again, it's this line of storms. It looks like, to me, from just a big picture perspective, it does look like there is a boundary here, probably a cold pool loft that's been able to hold together a little bit. So I do expect these storms. I could see some redevelopment out here, right? And I would expect these storms to all eventually sag to the south. So even if you haven't been hit yet, if you're on 94, or even if you're down closer to the Merritt Parkway, there's plenty of fuel today. There's plenty of atmospheric instability, that's heat and the humidity that you can feel outside. And I would expect most places to get hit. Now, exactly, does every neighborhood get a damaging microburst? No, it's not going to happen that way. But I think everybody's going to get hit or adjacent hit with rain and some gusty winds. Yeah, thank you. Another report from Woodbury here. Torrential rain and there was small hail. Thank you for confirming that, Christina. I really appreciate it. Yeah, same thing. So I see a lot of questions again about our core towns here in Western Connecticut and our greater Danbury. So New Milford, you're under the gun right now. Sherman under the gun right now. New Fairfield, I think it's going to get you pretty good here. It might skip over Patterson, New York. I mean, maybe you're a little bit too far to the west. But I would expect like somewhere like this is probably where this storm is going. So if you're asking from Newtown or Bethel or New Fairfield, Brookfield, Bridgewater, those are all places that are going to get hit here coming up shortly. And I do have to send out an alert text here. So just excuse me for 1 second while we type this one out together. I think we can do that, but we do have to send out a text alert. If you haven't subscribed to the text alerts, you can visit my website, jackdrakeweather.com. Shameless plug there, but we're going to send this to Northern Fairfield County. This is kind of cool. We'll do this live, and I'll tell you kind of how I look at it. We can all send it to them together. Hopefully some of you are subscribed and can see it come through too live, which is cool. But for Northern Fairfield County, let's see here. All right, we are going to say severe thunderstorm warning has been issued. And then if we look at the details here, it's probably going to say 60-mile-an-hour wind gusts. Yep. And look at that ping pong ball size hail. You don't see that in the warning very often. Oh, my goodness. But that's for this core. Now, I don't expect everybody to get that. So if you're in the warning and that popped up and you see ping pong ball size hail, please don't expect to get that everywhere. But there could be some large hail. So I think that's fair wording here. So I'll say gusty winds to 60 miles per hour and large hail are possible in this storm. Again, main concern right now would probably be Sherman, New Fairfield, Brookfield, kind of the eastern part of this zone. I'm not sure I'm going to get, just because of the nature of today, I probably won't get too specific with where exactly it's going to hit here because they are so difficult to track. You can kind of see this is probably blowing down a little bit on the radar, but that is pretty strong wind gusts there. Let me just take a look at exactly what this is sampling. That's looks fairly impressive. Stalled out there for a second. But yeah, some gusts to around 60 here, 51. And then it's going the other way, 20. Yes, if you add those up, right, it's like you got about 60 miles an hour, 65 miles an hour shear. So pretty strong storm, pretty strong couplet there. Definitely hail potential with that, and damaging wind potential. Let's just put a time on it here. So they said through expires in 39 minutes. So yeah, we'll say through 5 p.m. So through I always add like 15 minutes just to be safe. 5:15 p.m. All right, and we'll send that out. That should cover everybody there. I'd already sent alerts to some of these towns here. Southbury, Oxford have already gotten them. Middlebury's already gotten it. So it's really just these new warnings here for the New Milford area and for Sherman. And yeah, again, you don't see that ping pong ball size hail every day. So even if we go into this warning, right, it's probably going to have some enhanced language on there. People and animals outdoors will be injured. Expect hail damage to roofs, siding, windows of vehicles. Expect wind damage to trees and power lines. And again, thankfully, it doesn't look like that hail core is going to stay ping pong ball size. So if you see that alert come through, don't freak out too much. But that's a sign of the strength of the storm to get that. Yeah, Cristiano asking about down into Monroe. Yeah, I mean, again, I think these storms will hit a good portion of the area, or I think everybody pretty much has a chance at them. There hasn't been any storms yet today over some of these areas too. So sometimes that helps in terms of just there being enough fuel, right? It hasn't been used up yet, but we'll zoom in here. So this area right now, Wingdale, just north of Pawling, Dennis Hill in New York, Pleasant Ridge in New York. That's where that really defined core is. But this is all slowly drifting to the south. And I expect this to be in Sherman soon. If you're on Candlewood Lake, this is coming in from the north. So this is not a west to east storm, right? This is a northwest to southeast storm. All right, so it's pretty much north to south here, this trajectory. Tornado threat, I don't see any real tornado threat defined right now. Obviously, if something pops up, I'll be the first to talk about it. Yeah, the zoo party, man, I'll only touch on this for a minute, but we had a great birthday party on Sunday with the animals. Thank you for bringing that up. That's awesome. Supposed to leave WCSU in 10 minutes. Shall I hold off till it passes? Yeah, actually, or Amanda, yeah, you might want to hold off, just especially if you're headed north into New Fairfield or Brookfield there. I would probably just wait it out for a few minutes. It's moving fairly quickly, so it's not like you'd have to spend all night there, right? Yeah, so Gail, again, with the ping pong ball size hail. So they put that in the warning. That is in the warning, right? I do not expect ping pong ball size hail in every area. I do not really expect it in Bethel. If I was a betting man, I'd bet against ping pong ball size hail. But could there be large hail if the core comes in? Absolutely. And I don't want to minimize the threat, right? We're not here to minimize anything. I'm not here to talk badly about the NWS. Sometimes I do think the language is a little bit extreme, especially when you talk about people outside getting hurt and stuff like that, as like a guarantee. But again, could there be large hail in it? Absolutely. Yep. So Brookfield and Newtown, right? Brookfield started to come in kind of on the edge here, and I can see actually on my window it's getting darker. But if you're in Brookfield, right, there's rain all the way down now to northern part of town here, almost approaching Candlewood Shores, Four Corners area there. But the main event, the main storm is still here off to the northwest, just north of Pawling, Wingdale area. That's where that nasty, nasty core is, where we're getting the alerts from. Yeah, 5:45 to 7:45 is actually, so these storms have come in early, right? And I think a lot of the energy will probably be used up by the time that they come through. So I'm not too worried about necessarily later evening now. It was really tough to time these out today, but my guess is for our area that this is the main event. So when we say that, right, I think the next hour or so is probably the critical hour. Could we get a pop-up storm later? We could, but I think this will use up most of the major portion of the energy. And this core here is still holding together. right now, we'll zoom all the way in. And, I probably don't have too many followers here from Wingdale, New York, but, if you are, this is where that hail core is. And when we talk about ping pong ball size hail, it's in that small area potentially in the purple. And it does look like big hail to me on radar. And their potential was there today for big hail, right? So we talked about it a little bit. There's on it, we call it deep layer shear, deep layer cape. So the cape went all the way up through, the instability went all the way up through the atmosphere. And sometimes when we see that, there's an extra hail potential. Yep, Justin, appreciate the report, man. Yep, Danberg, you're going to start hearing it. I expect some pretty nasty cloud to ground strikes with this core. So, absolutely. Yeah, nothing yet in New Fairfield. Well, it's coming, Michelle. It's coming. New Fairfield's right here. The core of the storm is just to your northwest, so I would definitely keep an ear out here over the next hour. And hey, that core shot up again. Look at that. So just south of Wingdale, look at those colors. Look at those deep purples. Waldo Hill, Wheeler Road. That's where it could be really, really nasty right now with some hail. Curious to see if we get any verified hail reports out of this. I don't see any popping up here yet, but that could definitely be a potential effect if this core holds up. Yeah, Kevin. If you're doing soccer practice later, man, thank you for commenting there. I think this will be moved through by then. If you're on grass, right, could the grass be soaked by then? Absolutely. But if you're on turf or something like that, I think you should be okay by 5:30. These are moving in and out fairly quickly. All right. So northern part of the warning was just canceled. As you can see, the thunderstorm is moving to the south and east. But again, we will track this. And again, highlighting that pretty major hail potential from National Weather Service there. We'll see if this gets into Fairfield County at all. Right now, there has not been, in my opinion, any hail probably into northern Fairfield County, but that is the core in purple here that we are watching. And with this will come gusty winds too. So we'll check the velocity again really quick, just because we haven't checked it in a minute. And that is pretty nasty. So let's see what this is. Here. Again, this core is the one to worry about, and this is a pretty healthy signature here overall. So, your green motion being towards the radar. Let me measure this here. Yeah, so 70 mile an hour wind gusts potentially in the core, 80 miles an hour. So this is kind of a situation where is all that mixing down to the ground? Maybe not, but when you have that much convection, it is definitely worrisome for a wet microburst there. I'd be very concerned here. Just to the west of Wingdale, just to the north of Pauling. And if this comes into Fairfield County, northern Fairfield County, that's what we really need to watch for. We might have to send an enhanced alert there. So we'll definitely keep an eye on that in the next 10 minutes or so. Yeah, Gaylordsville right now. So the northern New Milford area, the South Kent area. And then you've got some cloud to ground strikes pretty close to you as well. Next radar update here. So this is definitely still a strong storm. Still something to be definitely concerned about here just over the border in New York. So now south of Wingdale, northern Sherman. Let me know if you're in Brookfield or if you're in New Fairfield and you're looking north, or if you're in Patterson, New York, and you're looking north into the cell. Let me know if it looks green. This is one of the ones that you could get that classic green sky with, in my opinion. Yeah, people to the north of the storm. Amber, thank you always for your reports there from Northfield. Looks like the sun's coming back out. Yeah, so the storms are past you, right? But they're heading into our I-84 corridor right now. Oh, I saw no power outages yet. Okay, thank you, Dave. Thank you. When you start with no power, it's always concerned, right? Live traffic report. Thank you, Heather. Thank you. Accident by Big Y and Bethel. I can hear the sirens as well. Thank you. Appreciate that report. If you're by Big Y and Bethel, just note that Heather said there's an accident. Avoid the area. Black skies on the border of Brookfield and New Milford by the lake. Thank you there. And again, that is kind of looking north into where that really nasty segment of the storm is. I can see the wind picking up a little bit here in Bethel as we get into some of the outer edges of the storm, but hopefully this cuts itself off a little bit and it doesn't continue with the strength. It weakens a little bit as it heads in. But again, I think it's worth watching here. And this is a pretty major route. This is, I believe, Route 22. Yeah, State Highway 22 here in New York. That's where some really, really nasty wind and some hail is likely in that area that we should definitely be concerned about. Oh, you got some hail. Thank you, Patricia. Thank you for Patricia. We've got some hail in Southbury with this line. So even the reds, right? You're getting a little small hail in the reds. Looks like some cloud to ground strikes here in Southbury as well. All right, now it looks like that core that we're watching is just about to move into Sherman, right? So every frame it gets a little bit closer. Every frame it gets a little bit closer here. Northern Sherman, Quaker Hill, that area is under the gun right now. Let's see how it's holding together on velocity. Yeah, it looks like that main core probably fired down a little bit, but this is still a really nasty storm. Lots of cloud to ground lightning now in Southbury. So south of Southbury, South Britain into Oxford, you're getting some lightning right now. Let's see if this core holds together for another frame or so. I mean, it's been very persistent now. It's been, what, half an hour? About 20 minutes live, and we've seen large hail probably in this core. All right, Sherman, thank you for the report, Kim. I'm gonna count on you. I know you're in northern Sherman there, and you always get me like the best reports from that area. But we got hail in Sherman right now. Again, that could be large hail in some cases, and very windy. So that is the real-time report there. I know she's in the northern part of Sherman. They always get some wild weather, but that's the core that we're worried about as it comes in New Fairfield and then eventually Brookfield down into the Candlewood Lake Valley here. Yeah, so what time is it supposed to end? People asking about time frames for Greater Danbury. So, it's moving fairly quickly. I think the main bulk of this, if we zoom out, right? So we're getting some pretty nasty cloud to ground lightning, some heavy downpours now all the way from Naugatuck back into Greater Danbury, with the worst of the storm here just crossing in from New York. It looks like it's going to come right into Sherman or northern New Fairfield there soon. But the timing on this is roughly the next 30 minutes or so for the worst of the weather in Greater Danbury. Next hour or so, it should be approaching more of the shoreline area. So you should be all clear here probably in 45 minutes or so, I'd say, in Danbury. All right, another update here. And again, hoping this core weakens a little bit, but it seems like it's persisting now just to the east of Pauling, so between Pauling and Sherman. That's where the nastiest part of that hail core is. Moving right into Quaker Hill here. Just right into Quaker Hill. It's going to be some crazy dB, 70 dBz on there. That's pretty high, notable for this area. Nope, have not seen anything tornado related with this so far. I'll be the first one to announce if they issue tornado warning or if I see something rotational, but I don't see anything right now that would indicate anything serious here. But again, heavy downpours, cloud to ground lightning, gusty winds, damaging winds in some cases. There've definitely been damaging wind signatures in here in this core. There was damaging wind signature before a little bit in southern Litchfield County. So there's going to be pockets of wind damage. This is what we expect on these level 2 days. Pockets of wind damage. Christiana, I mean, I would assume Monroe would get a warning eventually. It looks nasty enough, right? They extended it down to here in Shelton a little bit. some point they draw the box, right? They draw the box. It's not always perfect. Yeah, Seymour, we got pouring now. But again, I think this looks like it did go around New Milford a little bit. So if you're downtown New Milford, it looks like the worst part of one storm went to the east of you, the worst part of the other storms to the west of you. So it dodged downtown New Milford a little bit, but again, the worst coming into Sherman right now. Please, if you're in Sherman or northern New Fairfield, shortly, I'd love any reports from that area. Is it a macro burst? Again, I don't see a macro burst signature with this yet. There is some pretty windy stuff here right on the line, and I would expect it's going to tell you like it's 50 miles an hour or close to that. It might be a little stronger with a little bit of a holistic rotational component to it. Not saying there's low level rotation, not saying there's a tornado or anything like that. But yeah, it's definitely going to be windy here, and that wind core is moving right into Sherman. I believe that's Route 39 as we speak, 37, excuse me, as we speak. Let's go back to yeah, it's a pretty nasty storm, guys. All right, so rain, right? Rain is moving into Danbury right now. I can feel rain in Bethel right now. Winds are getting a little bit gusty here as we get some of that rain cooled air at the head of the storm. Calming down Southbury, Dave. Thank you for the report there. Terry McCowney reports from New Fairfield here. Just a few minutes. Looks like we're getting some loud cloud to ground strikes. We got that hail core to the north over Pauling. Putnam Lake too, right? Putnam Lake should be like right here, if I recall correctly. Right here, excuse me. You're under the gun too. Probably get that. Could get into that hail core a little bit. But yeah, I mean, I'll stay with you guys until this weekends. This is something that is definitely notable on the radar. So we'll keep you safe until the weekends here. Yeah, Route 39. Thank you. Very dark, and it's probably coming. It might get loud quickly. Appreciate the report there, Tim. Windy in Brookfield and raining. Thank you for that report. I like this description, John. Air is tense. I like that. And it did feel tense today. But yeah, this is the worst of it. That purple area right now from Sherman, just south of Pauling into Patterson. And this is moving generally to the south and southeast. They do still have the severe thunderstorm warning on this other storm as well. This looks like the echoes have weakened a little bit from what it was in southern Litchfield County as it enters, your central Connecticut, your Hamdens, and places like that. All right, still a pretty defined hail core here. And now this is entering Connecticut. So which hill? Wakeman Hill Road, Route 37 South. That's where the worst of the weather's coming in right now. Yeah, Woodbury, Chris, thank you for the report. Got pouring there. Yeah, right now, not much, right? It's not much in Danbury. It's not much in Bethel, not much in Newtown, but the worst of the weather is to our north here. And I think there's enough clean air for this that it'll continue at least to some level until it gets here. It's not going to weaken too much. I'm getting a live report from Middlebury right now. Trees down. Hit my parents' property. They got a tree down in the shed in the backyard. Also getting a report from Woodbury. Woodbury US 6, Route 6 closed in both directions between Town Line Road and Wolf Hill Road for tree down with wires. So definitely some gusty winds with this here. It looks like another wind gust report here just to the east of Waterbury. Tree down on wires between Homestead Avenue, between Middlefield Road and Woodland Avenue. So getting some live reports here of wind damage. And just going to wait for the next frame here as this really intense core moves into Connecticut. Hopefully it weakens a little bit. You can kind of see the purples fade on the last couple frames there. If that continues, our hail risk into Connecticut would be lower. Julie's doing some radar analysis. We love it. Just look at the radar, and it seems like it's going to strengthen and moving into Oxford. You see that happening. Was just very windy. Yeah, so you can kind of see it here. One of the ways you can tell a little bit is by the amount of lightning. And the amount of lightning's really picked up in that Southbury to Oxford corridor. So I wouldn't be surprised at all. I mean, again, this is pretty fresh air here. That's untapped air. So I wouldn't be surprised at all to see this shoot up, especially on this side of the storm. And Danbury, it is coming. This is coming for everybody. I'm going to take a look at my. I got a couple other radar images. Open. Let's see. Yeah, definitely a lot of fresh lightning strikes here. So let me circle that. All those pluses there are fresh lightning, and then you're getting this core. So these are the two areas where it's like the worst right now. Let me move the radar so you can see better too. But thankfully that hail core has weakened a little bit as the storms come over the border. So I wouldn't expect any super large hail in there right now. But could it pop back up, especially if it gets a little convergence from these storms near Beekman? Yes, right. So that's going to be the theme today. It's really hard to kind of track these. They pulsate up. There's a hail core. There's a wet microburst. They pulsate down. They weaken a little bit, and then it'll pop up somewhere else, right? So we could see this back build near Patterson shortly here. The sky it just looks weird over me. I don't know how to describe it. Yep, small hail. Appreciate that, Carol. Small hail in northern New Fairfield. That's where we were really worried about. And let me know if you're getting any wind there as well. It does still look windy to me in that right entering the main area of New Fairfield right now. And like I said, there's been verified wind reports with this near Waterbury. So all these storms are windy to an extent. It looks like they did drop that severe thunderstorm warning though on the cells in New Haven County. So it's really only Fairfield County right now. We're retaining this warning, and we'll see how long we have that. I'll be on with you guys until it. All right, we did. So those purples are coming back a little bit here into New Fairfield. Just getting close right now to some more populated areas. So this is pretty sparsely populated here in the Pawtucket State Forest when you get to the northeast of Swans Pond. But as soon as it drops into the valleys here in New Fairfield, that's when we start seeing a lot more reports generally. Okay, Krista, thank you. Yeah, wind's insane. New Fairfield Sherman border. So appreciate that. And again, that's what we're worried about. We don't want those strong winds. We don't want these big power outages here, but that is the potential when you get into storms like these. And I do think this works into Danbury. So, there's always the Danbury bubble thing, right? Where you guys are like, it never storms in Danbury. This one looks like it'll do it at least to some extent. Appreciate that, Benjamin. Appreciate that. Getting some wind in New Milford. Probably southern New Milford, I would assume, near this line. This looks pretty nasty. You can see these storms again building back to the west. So the radar's clear there until it's not. So if you're in Richfield and you think it's going to miss out, you are going to miss out. You're not. This is all eventually going to slide to the south. Pouring between Ball Pond, Putnam Lake. Thank you for the report, Brian. And Brian, that core is still approaching you. You're getting heavy rain right now, with that core of the worst weather is still off to your northwest. All right, we're approaching 445 now, with the back edge of this into northern parts of Sherman, northern New Milford. I would expect this to keep heading to the south and southeast at a fairly quick rate. So if you do have plans later this evening, I think this one is using up most of the energy of the storms that we'll see today. But it could be nasty here in the next 30 minutes, especially across Greater Danbury. Just looking at a couple other things here. Coming down in sheets, thank you. Northern New Fairfield. Pouring in wind in New Fairfield. Thanks, Joanne. Appreciate that. But yeah, I mean, this is coming, right? It's coming into Danbury. It's getting closer. I think it is cycling a little bit, so we're not seeing those deep purple cores, thankfully, with that ping pong ball size hail. We don't have to worry about that right now. But there could still definitely be some hail with this. There could be some large hail with this. I don't think ping pong ball size, but there could be some large hail with this. And it definitely has gusty winds with it to an extent, and some cloud to ground lightning, right? So there's a lot of hazards going on right now. Right now, this is dropping into King Street, and it will be in Danbury in the next couple frames here in downtown Danbury. All right, and I might have to jump off in 1 minute just to the kids are not liking the thunder in the background, so sometimes got to be dad, right? Crazy wind, Kathy, again, thank you for the report. Crazy wind, New Fairfield's where we're worried the most about right now. Yeah, when you see this considerable damage threat, that's always not a good sign. But again, I think that's more for the hail that hopefully is a threat is dissipated there. Lots of hail now, New Fairfield. Yeah, thank you. And if you can get a size estimate at all, just let me know if it looks like quarters, if it's just peas, if you're just seeing a lot of hail, or if it's big hail. Those kind of reports are super, super helpful. Really bad on Candlewood Lake. Hopefully everybody got off Candlewood Lake. Hopefully everybody's heeded the warnings, right? We did put out that severe thunderstorm warning for all North Fairfield County. So again, hoping people got that, heeded it, and can get to shelter here. But yeah, no, it still looks like an aggressive storm to me on radar. I'm checking a couple different radar apps right now. It still looks pretty aggressive. Pea-size hail, thank you for that. A lot of hail reports here in New Fairfield, and it looks like that's some gusty winds pushing right into the northern part of Danbury here. So Great Plains, Stadley Rough, Latins Landing, Candlewood Lake Road, Federal Road, Brookfield, Federal Road, Danbury Hospital. You are all under the gun for this core of winds here. And I would estimate this is gusting 40 to 50 miles an hour, probably locally a little bit higher than that. So that's enough to do considerable damage to trees, right? Especially this time of year when we have the full leaf out. It's enough to knock out power for some portions of the area. It's not a macro burst. It's nothing like we saw in 2018, but it's enough to create damage. And we do have a new warning here, brand new warning for quarter-size hail and 60-mile-an-hour wind gusts. Now, this has been issued. People were asking about Monroe and Shelton before. This has just been issued for Monroe, Shelton, New Haven, West Haven, Milford, Stratford for this storm here. And that there's a core you can kind of tell with the lightning over Southbury. If you're in Southbury, let me know if it's gotten worse again. It looks like it to me. But Yeah, Southbury and Newtown, parts of Newtown here. Looks like it's firing up. So just let me know. This is all about to come in right into I-84, right into I-84 the next 10 to 15 minutes here. John, thank you for the report. 20% hail, a deluge. Thank you, Deb, for that report. We got more hail in New Fairfield being reported. Lots of hail reports here, so you know it's pretty widespread. Bad lightning wind. Thank you, Mary Lou. Appreciate the report. Pea-size hail in New Fairfield again. Thank you. Yeah, Southbury raining extremely hard. It looks like that storm again. That storm's picking up. And the border of the storm, worst part of the storm, like I said, headed right in the Great Plain right now. Downtown Danbury, Mill Plain, Aunt Hack. This is the cell that I'm really worried about for wind, for lightning, and extremely heavy rainfall. These cells off to the east are definitely doing a good job too. Oh, we got dime-size hail. Thank you, Brian. Brian, I appreciate all the reports over the years. Dime-size hail, Ball Pond, Putnam Lake area, New Fairfield. Yeah, look at all those hail reports. And again, so what happens with these storms, right? And I feel like I don't want to sound like a broken record, but on the days like this when we get a lot of heat, a lot of instability, a lot of humidity, you're going to get these pulsating storms up. And those can fire up hail cores. And what can happen is you'll get back building off to the northwest here. So these storms are brand new, right? These storms weren't here when I started the live or even 10 minutes ago. But you have a mature storm like this over Danbury. This is pushing this way. And then you have kind of still growing storms over some of the Oxford, some of the valley areas there, Naugatuck Valley areas. And what can happen is sometimes you get another core to shoot up. Like all of a sudden you'll get a core to shoot up here right over Danbury. So that's the hazard on a day like today. And it can be kind of difficult to forecast that in advance. You just kind of have to watch the radar live. And it's definitely, looks like a little bit of a green hue here from my window. So I'm sitting right here in Stony Hill. Definitely seeing some light rain, but again, that core of that storm is just off to the north and to the west. Let me check here for any more live wind reports. I don't see any coming in from Fairfield County right now. But again, I expect this to be pretty gusty here, and it's heading into more populated areas. Extreme rain from Claire and Stadley Ruff. Appreciate it. Just started raining by Stews. Mike, my physics teacher, by the way, my high school physics teacher, Mr. Exedy. Sheets of rain on the east side of Candle Lake and Danbury, very windy. Thunder just started. Nickel-sized hail from Sean. New Fairfield, thank you, Sean, for the report. And again, New Fairfield, New Milford just lost power. I can hear the rain here picking up. Yeah, that's the part. So right now, just over Danbury Hospital is getting into the worst of the action here. Danbury Hospital, Beaverbrook, entering my area right here in Stony Hill. Anywhere in the southern area, Federal Road and Brookfield getting slammed right now. Heavy rain, gusty winds, potential for some small hail here. There are some wind gusts with this again, right? There's some wind gusts that are staying pretty solid with this. 55 miles an hour being reported just north of Great Plain. Let's see if we get a bigger one here. I think that might be the radar max right now, about 56 miles an hour, just to the north of the Great Plain School, Nabby Road area. And again, as that comes off the lake and that comes into the valley, it's going to hit elevation. It's going to hit elevation over Hollyville, over Newtown, over Bethel. And sometimes that can squeeze out the extra gusts too. We've seen that before. Places like Pocono Ridge Road in Brookfield had a microburst a few years ago in a similar situation. Power out in northern Sherman. Thank you for the report. Tree down, New Milford, lots of traffic. Yeah, I'll try to get to the traffic alerts after I hang up the live here. Lights flickering in Oxford. Thank you, Julie, for the report. But yeah, I expect that to kind of be the theme here. We'll go back to radar mode. On top of everything, it sounds kind of ridiculous, but there's a flood advisory too with how dry it's been. There's a flood advisory for some of the heavier showers that have persisted here over New Haven County. But I think the main concern right now are these thunderstorms. So yeah, new severe thunderstorm warning now for quarter-size hail, 60-mile-an-hour wind gusts for southern Fairfield County. Pretty much everything Stamford on to the east to Branford is under the severe thunderstorm warning. And yeah, these are nasty storms. I don't want to undersell it here, just because there's not like a tornado or anything like that. These are still really nasty. Wind picking up and Reading. Thank you, Susan, for the report. Yeah, and a lot of people are still asking about the timing, right? So we've nailed this okay. We said until about 5:15 in that greater Danbury area. It's probably going to go 5:45 and even closer to 6 at the immediate shoreline. But things will be rapidly improving here over the next 30 minutes in Danbury, I think, as we get through the worst of the storm. Downtown Bethel, the storm's moving into you right now. Downtown Danbury getting slammed. Brookfield still getting slammed. Yeah, New Fairfield. So New Fairfield, where it was really bad before, it's calming down, and I think that's probably pretty much it for you for now. I expect this to all drift south and east. There could be still some rumbles and some showers with this activity as it develops, but I think the bulk of it will slide south for you. And like I said, I think we're generally speaking in the clear here in the next half hour. Yeah, a lot of people mentioning the how hard it's raining. That's the other thing too, right? So it's peak rush hour right now. It's 5 p.m. If you're headed home from work on I-84 and you're in Danbury, this is just absolutely a deluge on top of you in Danbury right now. It's going to be low visibility. It's going to be hard to drive through this. There's probably going to be a lot of people with flashers on, and it can still create a dangerous situation. So even if you're not worried about the wind, you're not worried about the hail, you're not worried about the lightning, just that heavy rain when you're driving 70 miles an hour on the highway and you run into it can be enough to be hazardous. Looking outside right now, I do have very heavy rain that's working to Stony Hill. Thankfully, no real wind yet here, but it looks like it might have gone just to the east. Let's see. Yeah, so right now these gusty winds, I would say, right about here, Danbury to Bethel, to downtown Bethel. Looks like there's a couple gusts here coming in. Just on the Federal Road, Newtown Road area. Oh, it just moved to the east, but it was about 60 miles an hour measured there, right around 60 miles an hour, right on Plum Trees Road, Linda Lane, and Bethel. So that's certainly enough, right? That's enough to give us some damaging wind gusts here in Bethel. That's probably the worst wind core of the storm right now. Worst wind core of the storm, Plum Trees Road and Walnut Hill. Plum Trees Road and Walnut Hill in Bethel, worst of the winds right now on radar. Probably hear it a little bit. You can't hear it a little bit behind me, but I do have very heavy rain falling. A little bit of wind now. A little bit of wind's kicked up here in Stony Hill. But again, that core went just to my southeast, or south. Yeah. Just sliding just to my southeast, I should say. It's an awful lot of red. It's a good question, Katie. Is it possible the sun comes back out? Yes, I think it is possible the sun comes back out. This time of year, right? We get daylight till about 8 o'clock, so there's plenty of time left in the day. It's the equivalent of like 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock in the fall. This is a good one too. Edith, thank you for the report. Temperature dropped at least 10 degrees in the last half hour from Terry Wild Park. Really good strike near me right now. Heavy rainfall. Blustery and Trumbull. Yeah, so this is all heading south. These are strong storms here. Lake Wabeeka, thank you for the report, Lake Wabeeka. Heavy rainfall. Yep, gusty winds. Michael, appreciate the report. Gusty winds, 4 in the Sycamore area of Bethel. I am getting some wind gusts now here too. It looks kind of funky, right? It looks like they're kind of coming out of the south a little bit. Maybe coming out of this big core. A couple good lightning strikes above me just now too. New Fairfield heavy rain hail. Thank you, John. Appreciate that. You guys want to come on live? Yeah, lots of thunder. Live reports.
I saw you on Mama's dome.
Nice. So you see the radar?
Yeah?
Where's it the worst right now?
Oh, that was all the way.
That's a lot of red. Yep, exactly.
Hi.
All right. Let's see. Kathleen, heavy rain, Danbury, 5 p.m. Thank you. Sherry, so dark, North Danbury, raining, thundering. Yeah, and even like that greenish hue, right? So these storms, looks like they broke apart a little bit. And thankfully, we're not seeing those big hail cores like we were before. But still, again, could definitely be gusty here. It's going to be enough locally to potentially knock down trees, power lines through this area here. I'm still seeing those cloud to ground lightning. It's definitely a storm you want to be prepared for if you are in Reading right now. Reading, Georgetown, Easton, Monroe. These are all places where it's sliding in, and I'd be on the lookout here. Another really good cloud to ground strike.
Now that was a loud gun.
In the shoreline now, coming down hard with strong winds, if not see more than a foot. Thank you, Susan. Appreciate that. Assume you must be in the New Haven area of the shoreline here. Yeah, some really, really strong strikes.
Yeah, and that was loud thunder.
That was loud thunder, yeah. Yeah, I mean, again, Stephanie, I think it'll, I think it'll taper off a little bit here for us. It's not going to be like this all night. These storms are moving quickly. New Fairfield, they've already reported. They're probably seeing a little bit of more shower activity right now. But brightening skies have been reported in the north here behind the storms. I like this report. Thank you, Willis. Wind-driven rain coming in bands. Rockwell, gusts are getting dusty. Yeah. Pete of Blueberry size hail slowing to Milford 445 is going to wash. Thank you so much, Megan. Appreciate the report there. Guilford. All right, folks. I do have to hop off live, but I appreciate it. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'll keep you covered here every step of the way. I got to go take care of the 2-year-old. But thank you so much again for all the support, and have a great evening.